Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Stella McKinney, and I'm here to present my informative speech related to patients and nurses in the hospital. In 1993, the National Academy of Medicine was commissioned by Congress to study the patient relation with staffing of nurses, and the conclusion was that nurses and patients need to have more relationship. I am a nurse now, but before I used to be a patient in the hospital, and my experience was nothing to write home about. Like in 2008, when I had my cesarean operation, I was in pain and left in pain for almost 40 minutes to an hour each time I ring the call bell before a nurse do walk in. It was not a pleasant experience at all. And 90% of Americans have one time or another visited the hospital. And the results shows that most of them are not satisfied at all. According to study, the Methodist Hospital in San Antonio has a daily occupancy of 72%, which means that more than half of their bed is being occupied every day, and they don't have adequate nursing staff to accommodate that. The ratio of nursing staff to patients is very, very low. For instance, a nurse can have up to 25 patients depending on the kind of hospital she works for. Another statistics do show that Montefiore Medical Center in New York has a daily occupancy of 92%, which shows that almost every day the hospital beds are being filled, and they do not have enough adequate nursing staff to do cover that. My experience in the hospital was nothing to write about, especially regarding the call for nurses. Though they do come in, but they take their time in coming in. But as I'm a nurse now, I begin to realize the other part of it, looking at the other side, looking from the other side of the fence. I do see that it's not the fault of the nurse, it's actually the fault of the hospital administration regarding staffing. Okay, my best friend, a very close friend of mine, died in the hospital. Why? Because nobody realized that his oxygen was disconnected. It took a while for them to find out that his oxygen had been disconnected. He went into coma, and 2 days later, he was dead. That is because of also the shortage of nurses and nursing staff. 50% of the people do not go back to the hospital. A lot of people do not like to go back to the same hospital they went back to. For instance, a blogger that I found, her name Grand Lake Princess 65, told of a very sad experience where her mother was left in the ER for hours, and then she started coughing up blood and she died. She's a very angry blogger. I also have another blogger that says that she totally enjoyed hospital when she had a child. Then she had another child 16 and a half years ago, and she loved hospital experiences. So it depends on the individual, you know, to know this fact